wonderful crowd on a Saturday morning in May when so many of our snowbirds have flown back north, south, east, west. And let's see, Angie, are you familiar with Mike's?
Somebody's going to go check right now. She was asking for me to check on the Mexican.
Okay, thank you. So, it's a beautiful day in May and wonderful to see all these lovely Democratic men and women. So, anyway, welcome. I am the stand-in for our illustrious President, Sue Dubman. And my husband Joel and I moved here about 11 years ago from Michigan. And when we got here, I looked around and saw all my Republican neighbors. Right. And wearing my blue shirt wherever I went. Hey, Democrat girl, I said, you know, I taught English along with social studies. It's Democratic girl, so get that. We want to use it, let's use it correctly. And let's remember, the oldest party in the country and the world is the Democratic Party, not the Republican, in spite of what they say. Anyway, so about 9 months after we were here, the state Democratic Women's Club president came and spoke, and our state committee man, who has passed away since, our wonderful, and I'm blanking on his name, Julian, I know knows him. He was our committee man back then, passed away, and he brings me up to meet the president of the Democratic Women's Club, and he said, I want to introduce you to Shelley Newman, who will start the first Democratic Women's Club in the Villages. I'm looking around, I go, is there another Shelley? So, anyway, any help, Angie? If not, we'll manage. Okay, everybody, if you would please make sure your phone is muted. Help yourself to drinks and sweets. And I want to welcome you all again. If we have any new members or visitors, please stand up. We'd like to welcome you. You know, like the old Jimmy Stewart movie, every time, forget the age, every time a Democratic woman joins us, another angel gets her wings. And our president and our past president, Pat Beerhalter, and a couple of our other members, right now we're in Orlando at the State Democratic Convention, which I hope in time some of you will come. We get some of the best state and federal speakers, and it's so wonderful to have 400, 500 Democratic men and women meeting together and not having to whisper, oh, you're a Democrat too? And I say, say it loud and proud. Anyway, thank you so much. We have a full meeting with 3 great speakers, and then following the speakers, we'll have a short meeting to talk about our agenda and upcoming events. And we are selling 50/50s in the back if you haven't had a chance, 3 for a $5, and our 6 for $10. We do them in lots of 5 so we don't have to worry about change. Anyway, this is an election year, and every election year we say the same mantra. There couldn't be a more important year. Well, guess what, folks? This year is really serious. Yeah. With, and forgive me if I offend anyone, but with Governor DeSantis in office, we really have to get our women and men out to support women's health. And it isn't just about abortion, it's about any health issue. And as I remind fellow male Democrats, if you think it's not important to support abortion, think about when you want that little blue pill. You don't want a governor telling you, oh no, you can't get that. So just remember, anytime you can sign up a friend to register and to get out to vote. We had some staggering statistics at last convention. 60% of Democratic women who were registered did not vote in the off election. And so it's a congressional and presidential, every vote counts. And doing it by mail, you don't have to worry about the mail being hijacked. That's not going to happen. What is great about it, you can stick it in the mail, you can drop it off at for Sumter, we're at the Gold Dome, and they will check your signature, but everybody must re-register. every 2 years. So make sure that your voter's registration is current, because if it's not, you won't get a ballot. So and as I said, it's so critical this year. So anyway, we have some great speakers. Our first is a good friend of mine and my husband, Julian Timoner, who has been here in the Villages. He and his lovely wife, Ann, who is a good friend of ours, who just passed away. When we came here 11 years ago, we went to Friday night services at the Temple Shalom. We walk in, I met Julian and Ann, they were the first two people, and then the other was Lynn Margolis, who was then president of the Villages Democratic Club. So I thought, oh my gosh, this is like kismet, or as we say in Yiddish, it's beshert, for anyone who knows it. It's meant to be. Okay, so we made friends. The next morning we got up, went to the Villages Democratic Club meeting. Again, we met our friends, Julian and his wife, and our other friends, and we thought we have a home here. So when people ask, well, what did you want in a house? One house is like another. There's certain things I want, but I want a presence, a Democratic presence, and we have built a great Democratic presence. The Villages Democratic Club, I'm proud to say, is the largest Democratic club in the state of Florida. And the women's, yes, all of you who are members, be proud and remind people that they're comfortable there and learn all about what's going on in this country. And we are at about 130 members for the Democratic Women's Club. So we're one of the largest in the state, and that I'm so proud of as the founding president. So, everybody's got a seat. Great, welcome. Okay, Julian has been living here for 16 years, and I'm going to read this, if you don't mind. He was chairman of the Sumter County Democratic DEC, right? Democratic Executive Committee. And when we came in, he also nudged my husband, who became his, remember he was your vice chair. And he worked along with you. And with Julian, under his tutelage, we really have grown. And we made a big difference, and if you want to add to this, Julian, it's fine, in Hillary's election, in Barack's and Biden's, we had increased the Democratic vote and the Democratic presence incredibly in the state of Florida. And that I'm really proud of their service. And the get out and vote. Get people out. If they need a ride, give them a ride to the polls. Make sure that they know their vote counts. He has, he was chairman of the Sumter County DEC during the second election cycle of Barack Obama and during the election cycle for Hillary Clinton. He has worked on phone banking daily for 6 months, plus in the past election cycle for President Biden as a volunteer. He is proud to take over the leadership of running Sumter County's phone banking from the late Alex Mariano, who did such a wonderful job. He was one of our stellar precinct captains, and we lost him last year. So we're delighted to have Julian helping out, making a difference. Okay, anything else, Julian? Are you ready to roll?
I'm ready.
Okay, cool. All right.
I'm going to stand a little more forward to make sure that everybody can hear me. I was chair of the Sumter County Democratic Party when there were 90 people in the Villages Democratic Club. So that was a bit of a challenge, but look where we are today. I remember that with the Obama campaign, the second time he ran, people think that because we're a small county that our votes don't matter, but the order from the Obama campaign was that we get 21,000 votes. And there were about 26,000 registered Democrats in Sumter County, and we got 23,000 votes. Anyway, what I'm here today discuss using something called virtual phone bank, call voters to vote by mail. But first I'd like to mention women's health care issues, which should motivate you to volunteer to work for the Sumter County Democratic Party during this election cycle. What I'm about to read to you is talking points I took off the computer from the Florida Democratic Party, and it has a few facts in here that you probably don't know. I didn't know anyway. It says, for the first time in over 50 years this Mother's Day, women and children in Florida have fewer rights than their mothers and grandmothers. On Mother's Day, we are reminded of our obligation to both our own children and the generations ahead. Women have won and lost rights throughout history, and we have a chance to swing the pendulum towards progress this November. Florida's extreme 6-week abortion ban has virtually no exceptions and puts women's lives at risk. Are you aware that the near total abortion ban is even more extreme because of Florida's mandatory 24-hour waiting period, signed into law by Rick Scott, and a requirement to have 2 in-person doctor appointments before accessing abortion care? Florida voters can reverse this extreme ban and restore reproductive freedom in our state by voting yes on Amendment 4 and re-electing President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. So, the village's Democrats will be having a variety of phone bank opportunities, mostly local, some statewide, some national, to get out the vote. We will be using something called Open Phone Bank as well as Phone Bank Connect through links to the VAN, the Voter Activation Network. Volunteers can receive a link to connect to voters that can be used to call and remind potential voters why they should vote by mail or discuss other important messaging such as women's health care issues or are they going to support President Biden in the upcoming election. Open Virtual Phone Bank, otherwise known as Open VPB, allows you to see your computer screen, on your computer screen a voter's combination of their personal data and phone numbers plus your message to them, and you use your personal phone to make calls. Now, I left on the table an example of what, to some degree, what that looks like. There is also Virtual Phone Bank Connect, which uses your computer to dial with a computer-generated phone number, but does not use your personal phone, so your computer is used like a phone. Both types of phone banks have a specific script. This script may focus on whether the voter will do vote by mail or whether they will vote in this year's election, as an example. Using a virtual phone bank is efficient, effective, and educational, targeting a large number of potential voters with correct messaging and issues in a short amount of time. Important messaging. That's what I just did when talking about important issues such as women's health care rights. Giving you information that you may not have been aware of as a requirement to have 2 in-person doctor appointments before accessing abortion care. So this sheet that we put down on the table is a typical message. You're calling somebody. Usually 90% of the time you're leaving a message, and only 10% of the time are you actually getting a real life person. So it says, hi, my name is Julian. I'm a volunteer with the Sumter Democrats. We are encouraging all Dems to enroll in vote by mail. In November, expect long, slow lines at every polling location. There are 6 constitutional amendments that are difficult to understand on the ballot this November, especially one relating to women's health. Vote by mail is safe, easy, and convenient. Vote by mail is voting insurance in case there is a family emergency and your busy work schedule makes voting in person impossible, and so on and so forth. So you can take that message, and we don't expect you to read it verbatim. We expect you to take the message. Yes?
There's a question, somebody asked a question.
We'll have any questions at the end. Could you
Okay.
give
No,
me a...
that was me.
Okay. Phone bank volunteers just need to express an interest, go through some basic training so they are comfortable to make calls to voters and make themselves available when opportunities arise, and they receive an email from me with a link to connect to a specific phone bank message and a specific targeted group. I'm going to show you a brief video, and it worked before, so hopefully it'll work now.
Welcome to Swing Left Academy's instructional video on virtual phone banking, or VPB.
Or, as the kids call it, Virfo Bomb.
No one calls it that.
The kids do.
Well, we're going to tell you about the importance of making phone calls in an election, so pay attention, which means put down your phone. Yeah, you too. Phone banking is an easy and effective way to mobilize voters, and it also helps free up other volunteers so they can canvass door to door, which is even more effective.
So we need every voter to go to the polls, and phone banking helps identify potential voters so campaigns can focus their get-out-the-vote efforts on them.
And virtual phone banking is a way to call voters and enter response data directly from your computer, and you don't have to go to a campaign office or a house party to do it.
Yes, you glorious shut-in. Even better, by using VPB, you can help out a campaign on your own time and on your own schedule. You can do it while you're in your pajamas.
But do not mention that to the person on the other line.
Of course, you don't have to make calls alone.
You can invite friends over and throw a virtual phone banking party.
Or a Virfo Bapar.
No. To get started, you'll just need a computer. Tablets can be tricky, so if you're using one, test it out before you settle in to start calling. You'll also want to make sure you've got steady Wi-Fi access and that you're using a charged phone.
And you'll want to make sure you're using an actual phone and not an ice cream sandwich. I have been burned before.
Different campaigns use slightly different phone banking platforms, but here are the basics.
Now you may have to create an account and log in. If it's your first time, it might take a moment to set up your profile. Make a note of your password so the next time you can log in quickly. You'll see who you're calling, including voting or location information for that voter, the information you need to enter based on the call,
and where to enter response codes to describe how the person you reached responded. Were they a supporter, undecided, a mole person? Entering response codes is vital. If you don't enter the response, it doesn't count. You'll talk to about 20% of the folks you try to get in touch with, so your goal shouldn't be the number of people you talk to, but instead the total amount of time that you spend making calls.
Which you can also measure in the number of bathroom breaks you take. I'm already at 4, and that was just while filming this video.
Make sure you're somewhere comfortable, since ideally you'll be making calls for a while. Finally, be sure to familiarize yourself with the script before making calls and practice a few times.
Even Meryl Streep practices before she phone banks.
I didn't know Meryl Streep phone banking.
Meryl Streep can do anything.
Big fan. Now it's time to give you a few tips for when you're actually making calls.
Now, this may sound a bit odd for a phone conversation, but smile. It can make a big difference on the other end of the line.
Make the script your own. Stick to the main talking points. Do your best to get through all the questions and get responses from the voter. But keep in mind, the script is just there to guide you. If you repeat it verbatim, you're going to end up sounding like a robot. Most importantly, be authentic. You know you're passionate because you're volunteering to make these calls, so share your enthusiasm with them. Making a real connection will make the conversation that much more productive. You'll want to stay focused. Making calls can be tiring. Seriously, people avoid having to make calls as much as they can, but what you're doing is important.
And don't be afraid to say that you don't know an answer. You don't have to be a policy wonk, although you should have info from the campaign about the candidate.
But don't argue. Try to pivot back to the script if the call is getting testy. Politely end the conversation. If someone's rude, brush it off and move on to the next call. To keep up your energy, stand up and walk around at least every hour. But keep in mind, these breaks don't count towards your phone banking goals.
But they do count towards your procrastination goals. Man, I can never seem to reach those.
So that's it. Phone banking is an incredibly effective way to drive voters to the polls. It's easy, it's fun, and it makes a real difference. And now that you've watched this, you're ready to win elections from the comfort of your own home.
It's as easy as picking up the phone. Oh, man, not again.
Wait, was that in your pocket?
No.
I'll give me one more light. We expect not everyone will be able to help with all phone bank campaigns. The administrator can track the progress of the phone bank campaign. Phone bank volunteers will work from their home, but we could make arrangements to have volunteers at headquarters if there is a need. For those who need a phone, there are 3 at headquarters. You will receive an email from me with an access link to the VAN, the Voter Activation Network, and the virtual phone bank that we will be operating that day. You will also need your email and password registered with the VAN to prove that you are allowed to have access to the VAN and the phone bank to start working. Our plan now is a strategic focus on voter registration and vote by mail enrollment of Democrats in this area. Vote by mail canvassing outreach to the inconsistent voters, warm, cold voters is especially important. We have repeatedly reached out to this group with emails, texts, and robocalls, and will continue our effort through October. As a result of our efforts for the past year and a half, we are near the top of the counties in Florida for the percent of vote by mail enrollment, but we're still only at 39%. So we need to go higher. Do you remember what we got to in the last election?
For the enrollment?
Enrollment of vote by mail?
We were like at a little over 50.
Yeah, I thought so. I knew it was higher. Anyway, so to you use your computer, you get yourself some earplugs and a mic so that virtual phone bank connect. You hear the person easier. They can hear you with the mic. It's really, really easy. As I said, for the Biden campaign, I sat for 6 months doing this every day.
How long, excuse me, how many hours per day?
I did about an hour, hour and a half.
Only 1 hour.
Huh?
Only 1 hour per day, right?
I did 1 to 2 hours, yes. Because what happens is your brain gets foggy. A little bit, and and most times you're saying whatever the message is that you worked out, you're repeating over and over and over again. And once in a while, you actually get a person on the other end of the line. And sometimes it's a really enthusiastic Democrat who needs some help, and you can help them. Do we have any questions?
Yeah, I had the question, when does the enrollment for vote by mail end?
10 days before the
You
election.
have to be enrolled in vote by mail 10 days before the
Oh,
election,
okay.
or they can't guarantee that they could mail you the ballot in time.
Oh, okay, I thought it was earlier than that. No?
That's registration you're thinking. That's 29 days before the
Okay.
election. You must be registered and in a primary registered in the party you want to vote
Okay.
in.
So we have these clipboards on this table and over there. And you can pass them around and you can put your name down. You will be called by me, but where it says volunteer, there are other things we do besides virtual phone bank. So if you want to do something else, make a little note next to your name that whatever you would like to do, such as canvassing or something like that, and we will be glad to
What's
accommodate you.
canvassing?
Excuse me?
You said canvassing.
Canvassing.
What's
That means you take, usually it's 2 people go to a specific area, usually in the area that you live, and you pass that information.
Door to door.
Door to door, right.
Like Jehovah's Witness.
And I think for those who have physical issues, I may not look like I have physical issues, but I have physical issues. I'm much more comfortable sitting at my desk and making the calls in the coolness of my air conditioning with a cold glass of something. Anyway, any other questions? I want to thank you for letting me speak today.
I'm really proud to introduce a good friend and a wonderful activist in the villages, Cris Andersen. She's the current vice chair of the Sumter County Democratic Party. She's chair of the fundraising committee and Neighborhood Links program. She will be speaking on how we reach voters and inform them on the issues and candidates that will be on the ballot this year and the voting process. In-person contact with voters remains the #1 way to get out the vote. You know what? Wear your shirts. Those of you who have your either Democratic Women's Club or a blue shirt or a button with the candidate, don't be afraid to stand up here in this community. The more of us who come out, what a difference we will make. So with that, you have the floor, Cris. Thank you,
I'm sorry with technology, we've had some issues this morning, but thank you so much. And yes, this is an important year and the issues are important. So it's not only to remember for issues and candidates. So the question is, can Democrats win in a red area? We live in a red area, don't we? So if you keep that in mind as we go forward and talk about some examples, well, maybe the answer to that is yes. This is the video that we won't see.
Just tap it.
Just tap it.
Here you go.
So this is my simple questions. Can Democrats win in a red area? And what are you willing to do to help? Because we all need to do something. So, what are you thinking when this happens? And there's no video, audio. Here's a door, and you have a knock at the door. So you're sitting there, you've played golf, you had a great time in the villages. 4 o'clock in New York, you're watching Deadline. You relax, and there's that knock at the door. You're thinking, is it Amazon? It's really but it may not be Amazon. Who is it? I've got to go answer the door and interrupt with my show. I'm going to put it on pause. But what if this is the person at the door? So think about how you felt, and then you go and answer that door, and there is a Democrat. So when we are talking about canvassing or knocking on doors, it's scary. It's hard to do. You're going to go out and kind of knock on somebody's door and you don't know them. We are knocking on the doors of Democrats. So you know you're going to have a friendly face on the other side. Put yourself in that position and say, I can do this. It's the same with phone banking. We can call and talk to each other and convince each other to vote. Okay. So why would we knock on doors? Why are we doing this? Well, one of them is to enroll people in vote by mail. Now, why would we do that? Because there's a 90% vote rate. If somebody gets a ballot in the mail, 90% of them will vote. That is going to drive our vote. Okay? Register new voters. Now, when most of us moved here to the villages, we went to the DMV and we got our driver's license and we got our registered our cars, and they said, do you want to vote? And registered to vote. You said yes, and they just clicked the button and sent your information to the DMV. But there are people out in the county that are not registered. So how do we know who they are? Well, the Democratic Committee, we bought the data. We know there's this house. There's a Democrat living in this house, but there's an of-age person that is not registered. We're not going on that door. That's out in the county. They're actually out today doing that to try to increase our numbers. During COVID, Democrats did not go out. We protected our volunteers and we did not let them go out. Republicans in here, oh no, let's all go, no vaccine, let's just not come in. So their numbers grew and ours didn't. So now we have to make up some good trust. The other thing is get out and vote. When we get close to the election, we're going to knock on every door. We're going to make sure that our voters get to the poll and vote. And we're going to hound them until they do, because we have got to close that gap here. We've got to get as many Democratic votes as we can. So, Democrats enrolled in vote by mail. You can think that it's part of voter suppression, and maybe it was. But the legislature, which is run by Republicans, and the Republican governor found that Democrats like to vote by mail. So they said, well, what can we do to make that harder? Well, let's make you re-register. Originally, it was every year. The supervisors of elections said, you cannot do that to us. So they said, okay, we'll do every 2 years. A lot of people don't realize that they are not enrolled in vote by mail. And so we're trying to get them enrolled. Again, it's that 90% vote that we're looking for. So we're going to come up to the August primary, and people are going to go, where's my ballot? And they didn't know that they had to re-enroll. So we are going out and telling them. This is for Sumter County, 37% of the voters in Sumter County are enrolled in vote by mail. That is not enough. And every time we talk to people, they'll go, I didn't know. And if we look in the villages, 53% of Sumter, in the villages for Sumter, I realize you might have Lake and Marion people here, but for the villages, that's what it is. And we've got to get that number up. Also, people in August may be traveling, and they're going to be in another state, and oops, I didn't get my ballot because they didn't enroll in vote. So, why vote by mail? This is a good thing to think about. You get the ballot up front. You get it about 25 days beforehand, and you can look at it, you can read it, you can study it, you can talk to your friends about it, and you will avoid the long lines at the polling place. Can anybody name an amendment that might be on the ballot in November? Women's right to choose, that the government cannot interfere with a woman's right. Can you name another one? Marijuana. Are there any others?
Water.
There's no water didn't make it. There are 6 amendments on the November ballot. So this is what's going to happen. You don't know. You go into the little carousel. Oh, I don't know what happened. I better read this again. I better read it again. Something about, should school board elections be partisan? I thought about that. Let me think about that. Maybe go down to the next one. And it might say something about homestead and the percentage and how they're going to calculate. Here's one about hunting and fishing. Oh, I don't know about that one. And here's one about campaign finance. Oh, maybe I shouldn't, I don't know. And it's, some lawyer wrote it, so you don't know whether to vote yes or no. So, getting that ballot ahead of time and reading what those amendments mean can help you kind of understand, do a little research about it, kind of find out what it was really meant, instead of at that carousel. But if I'm at that carousel trying to read all this stuff and decide, everybody else is waiting in line to get in line where I am. So don't do it. That's one of the ballot is going to be long. It's long anyway. So that's one reason. Okay? Track your ballot. You can go on the supervisor of elections. You can find out when it was mailed. You can find out when, after you send it in, that they received it. If there was a problem, you know. So you're going to get that ballot 25 days before. Well, get it, send it in. You can take it to an early voting location. You can take it to the voting dome and turn it in. You can mail it. You can track it. And then it's voting. So you are done. And I will tell you that for Sumter, if you have already voted, we're going to leave you alone. I'm going to tell you if you haven't, we're going to hound you. We're going to hound you. Because we have got to get our vote out. So we will never miss a vote. That's why we're doing this. That if you're out of state and you're not here, if you're overseas, if whatever, you won't miss a vote if you enroll in vote by mail. Okay, so the Neighborhood Links is a group that I work with. And some of you are links in here. We take, if you are a neighborhood link, we connect you with the Democrats and left-leaning MPAs in your neighborhood. We give you activities to do and stuff. So now the links with the precinct captains and volunteers are knocking on doors of people not enrolled in vote by mail. We're knocking on the doors of new Democrats, because they don't know, because they never voted in Florida a lot of times. Cold or warm, which means they go occasionally, but not every election. They might go every presidential, they don't go to primaries, so we're trying to get them enrolled in vote by mail. So what we have done is, we've gone through and identified all of those voters. We have filled out the vote by mail form. Then all you'll do when you knock on the door, you'll say, hello, Sally, I'm a volunteer, blah, 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 got vote by mail. I really want you to be enrolled. They sign, date it, and go to the next house. Quick, quick, quick. And we're going to Democrats and getting them enrolled. We will eventually go back and pick up no party affiliates that are left-leaning. We already know who they are through all these data geeks that put that together. So, I am asking you all if you would help. And the precinct in Sumter I would like for you to help with is Sue Dudley's precinct, because there are 600 Democrats in her precinct and 200 of them are not enrolled in vote by mail. We're looking for volunteers that will go and help in her precinct. But you could also help in your own precinct, in your own neighborhood, to get people enrolled.
What precinct is she?
125, which is up near Tierra del Sol, kind of up that way. So we have a flyer that explains all about vote by mail. Here is the form. Now, you could say, is this voter suppression? They decided they had to have a new form. Everybody had to use the new form. It's a little confusing, that's why we filled it out. So now we have to go back and get everybody to do this form. So how can you help? You can help us by deciding that you would go and knock on a few doors and talk to them, fill out that form. We will match you with your own precinct. We will match you and help out with Sue Dudley's. You work as a team, you do it whenever you want. A lot of times people go together. My wife and I go, she drives the cart and I go to the door and then she collects all the papers. One time we were driving around and it's like which house number, and we were doing figure eights and these two women were at the end of their driveway and they're going, they kept looking at us and they finally came up and they said, are you all the ones that turn people in for stuff in your car? and Ann said, oh no, it's worse, we're Democrats. Now, suppose you just feel like I can't do it. I'm a snowbird or I'm going to go away, but I think this is really important. So we want to give you an option as well. We are hiring college students to come and help us canvass. So you can donate. And if you donate $18.50, that gives us an hour with one of these kids to go out. So we have that option for you as well. So, can Democrats win in red areas? Well, I'll give you a few examples. In 2023, Democrats won in Ohio, in Missouri, in my home state of Virginia, they flipped the House seat. Kentucky, the governor of, that's Mitch McConnell's state. Yeah, and they get a Democratic governor reelected. And you know why? We did a video with a young woman who had been abused by her stepfather. And she gave this testimony, I was 12 years old and you would want me to be pregnant and carry that child. And it really made a difference in that. Okay, this is one of my favorites. This is a woman named Marilyn Lands, Alabama. Do you think that's a red state? So Mr. Cole was elected to the Alabama House. Unfortunately, just re-elected. He had to resign because he pleaded guilty to voter fraud. You can make this stuff up. Voter fraud. Okay, so Marilyn Land decides that she's going to run. She knocked on every door in her district because she had to have a medically required abortion when she was young. And she told her story. She flipped that House seat 17 points. Wow. This is not squeakers. That's what she did. She did it because she connected with voters, and she talked to every voter. Here's another example. Donna Deegan ran to be the mayor up in Jacksonville. Okay, very Republican. I mean, it had been 30 years since a Democrat had been mayor up there. She flipped it by 15 points. Okay? And during the presidential preference primary, there were some municipal elections. Democrats didn't vote in a presidential preference primary because Joe Biden was the only candidate. So most people, we just didn't go to vote. But there were some local elections. There were 7 of them, and Democrats won 4 of them right here in Florida. We are winning in red areas, and it may be the candidates, but more importantly, I think it's the issues. I think women are coming out. Ohio and Kentucky and Missouri, those were all women's issues. So I think it's important. I'll leave you with, Tom King. Tom King ran for Florida House in Orlando. He had young kids down there in Orlando. They knocked on every door. They phone banked everybody constantly. And he flipped that one by 14 points. So the answer is yes. Stacey Abrams says democracy works if we work for it. And we've all heard that democracy is on the line. I would say we've slipped a little bit with our democracy with book bans and other things that have gone on. Our voting has become more difficult instead of easier, but we have to work for it. So I am pleading with you to find something that you are willing to do to help us. Phone bank with him. Walk with me and knock on doors. Do whatever you can, because the morning after the November election, there's 2 choices of how you're going to feel, and you can't make a phone call that day or knock on the door. It's too late. Do you want to feel like this when we did in 2016? I have never felt worse in my life. All my friends were all dressed in white. We all got together at a friend's house, looked like a nursing convention that night, and it just started going down and down and down. And that next
sealed the deal.
I will never feel that way again, and that's when I got involved. So I don't want to feel like that. I want to feel like this in 2020. When we got out, we got our vote out, and we did it. And we cannot go back. We must do that. So I plead with you to find something that you can do. And, you know,
if I may just insert a personal comment. I've gone door to door. Democrats are happy to have you knock on their door. They're so happy to have somebody that says, I'm here, and I didn't know you were here. Nobody can do all of the work, but we can all do something.
the first time I thought about it, I can't do this. Second, a glass of wine really helped, but I can't do that. These are patent. I don't have any bureaucrats coming in. You get a button today for women's, it just, yes, I'm number 4, so wear that proudly, but I want to talk to you a little bit about some of the other things. Just pass those back. I want to talk about what's in these packets. Yes, I'm just going to take one of them. As you look through these, there are a couple of things. If democracy is on the line, there's a little card in here that says what Democrats are for and what Republicans are for, okay? Look at the column of what Democrats are for, because that's what we will lose if we don't do this. It's things like women's rights, voting rights, common sense gun laws, democracy. Those are the things we're going to lose. Everybody says, oh, Joe Biden doesn't get anything done. Well, what's the stock market over 40,000? This is a card that has some of his accomplishments on the back, so don't forget to remember that. You have our flyer on vote by mail. just to give some ideas of that, the new form there. If you want to support a college kid knocking on doors, we have that form in there. A volunteer sheet if you want to just tell us exactly how you'd like to help us out. We'd love to have that. And I am chair of fundraising, so I have to put this in. We are having a murder mystery fundraiser. We are going to change the office so it looks like a library. You won't believe it, but if you can think there, I don't know. So that's in there if you are going to support us. But thank you all. Any questions?
I have a lot of questions, however, can I have some special appointment with you in the future? Because I really do not know anything, but I really have a lot of questions.
Okay, at any time. I will have any,
You make appointment with me.
regardless of party. But I really will have Democrats.
I just need, I don't know, because I that was
I don't think they have the vote by mail that doesn't need one, because I need one. So there's the vote by mail form, I don't care what the vote by mail, the vote by mail. They're still going around. I think that, no, I think they're all gone.
When did you need a vote by mail?
Are you afraid of the package? We didn't have. I only need to make
somebody in Charlotte, and I have no idea who I am.
I'll give you Eileen this time. But you can still call them because they got that list.
Ladies, if you have questions, let's say it so everybody can hear.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not so much a question as it is a reality situation. It was in March of 2020. COVID was just hitting the country. We were living in South Carolina, and I was going door to door for a fellow by the name of Joe Biden. Okay? And I was assigned to an area that was 100% black. I had not been door to door. And it was interesting. You knock on a door, the initial response is you can hear somebody coming to the door, but you're looking through the peephole, and it also has a security door. They're looking at me going, oh, who's this guy? Okay? So what I happened to have had was a bulletin board just like this. And when I left the Biden office, I grabbed a whole bunch of bumper stickers because I figured if we don't get them out today, we're not going to be around with a lockdown. So I put one on the back of the bulletin board, and I held it up so that people, when they looked through the peephole, they could see Biden. And that opened the door. The second part was that I'd asked him, hey, are you, there was a script I was supposed to follow, but I got off that. I said, okay, are you guys, everybody's registered in the house, right? Good. Okay, do you need any other stuff from us? No. I said, by the way, do you know anybody that has a car that does not have a Biden bumper sticker on it? And they said, yes. And I happened to have grabbed a bunch of Biden stickers, and I gave about 5 per household. I said, if you know other Democrats who also know other Democrats. And those bumper stickers, that was about $1 worth of material I was giving away. And man, that security door opened up right away. And the point being is that my time going door to door was about 10 minutes from every door I was going to knock on. Okay, and my value of my time was roughly that was worth about $5 to $10. I felt very good about giving out more extra bumper stickers.
Can I have one?
That's a great idea. This is 2020. I'm not doing something.
Right now. Great idea.
You don't have right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, my next guest, Matt Smith from Let Congress Know. He has been a resident of Florida since 1992. After spending 10 years in the military, he left at the end of the first Gulf War. Thank you for your service. For the last 20 plus years, he has been a district sales coordinator with AFLAC. Because of this, he has had the opportunity of speaking with thousands of people over the years, and many about the frustration they have with Congress, state and federal, in just getting the information on bills and issues that affected he and his family and his business. Let Congress Know was created out of that frustration. It was founded on the principle that we the people, and remember, we the people, we have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit. And some people in Congress and the Senate don't remember that. And in other offices. And Americans, you know, they think it's hokey. There's nothing hokey about our right to pursue, whether you are a man or woman, gay, straight, transgender. I just read a great book on a young woman who was transgender. And these are all people that were created in someone's image. We all have a right to be here, to stand up, to vote, and to be counted. So let's remember that. I appreciate, you know, the information you were giving us in this tool to help let Congress know what we want. Because remember, folks, they work for us. It's not the other way around. So, thank you very much.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Again, my name is Matt Smith. Interesting as listening to you, both of you. Awesome, thank you. My sales career started a long time ago when I was living down in South Florida, banging on doors for MCI. Who remembers MCI? What an experience. Just because, and people would ask me, you know, I was doing this, and I'm like, man, how can you go and knock on people's doors? And I was like, it's mental entertainment. You never knew what was going to open the door. Literally, I'd be like, oh, maybe you should put something else on. And everything from just that. So it teaches you that literally over the entire time I did that, I had one person answer the door with a gun. Ooh. I just looked at, look, I spent 10 years in the military. I was like, dude, put it away. You know, what do you want? But again, that was in South Florida. It's not uncommon to see some strange stuff down there. But again, it's just evolved into what I've done now. But my whole purpose behind Let Congress Know is very simple. We believe that you, and it's in our Constitution, you have a right to speak up and say something. I spent 10 years defending that right for you. And I'm glad to do it. Now, let's be honest. We all might have a different opinion about certain things. But I will stand by you every time and say you have a right to say something about it. The problem that I found was most of the time when people find out about something that comes out, you know, they watch the news, it's always after the point. The point was, oh, they just passed this bill, and you're going, who told me about that? No, we didn't know about it. So we provide information on bills and issues that are working their way through Congress now. And a simple way for you to actually write your representative right there before they vote on it. Mm-hmm. Because how does this impact you? It doesn't help you one bit. Like you said, after the election's over, it's done. So let's not talk about elections, let's talk about bills. These are the things that impact you, your family, and if you own a business, this is what impacts you. This is where your vote, geez. I'm thinking two words at the same time. Your voice and your vote count the most. Say that faster. Because if we don't stand up and say something, who is to blame? We are. So think about this. At one time or another, you all work jobs, you own businesses. Would you have ever hired somebody in a business, given the keys of the place, let them run, and never talk to them? And then go behind their back and talk bad about them? Because can you believe they're not doing that? Oh my gosh. It's our right to be able to say something. So issues, this is what I gave you. And on the back, if you don't have a sticker, I just realized mine doesn't have a sticker, but that's okay. These are some of the biggest issues that are impacting us today. And when you look at these, think about these. Border security, the economy, Second Amendment issues, environment, school choice, health care, taxes. That's probably one we can all get on the bandwagon on those taxes, okay? Because man, you come to Florida, it used to be this bad. So let's get into this. So when you go to the homepage and Let Congress Know, so let me back up. Let Congress Know is not funded by anybody. Well, it's funded by its members. That's what it's funded by. We do not support or advocate for any political party. We are not a lobbying organization or political PAC. We have no dog in the hunt when it comes to it because it deals specifically and explicitly with the bills and the issues. This goes beyond political party. This is the things that, again, like I said before, this is what impacts you. Okay? I like the president, I don't like the president. Doesn't matter. Are you telling your representative what's going on? That's what matters. Because ultimately, the president really doesn't do a whole lot, when it comes to voting things. He's kind of the executive office. It's the House and the Senate. Oh, I'm sorry. So, there we go. When someone logs in, obviously the little yellow mark, you just log into it here. There we go. This is what you're going to see. Left and right. Federal issues are on the left. State issues are on the right. So we wanted to, in a military term, we wanted to strip it down and make it go fast. Okay? Because why? Who's got the time to sit here? Who in here has ever gone to Senate or House.gov? Yeah, your brain just turns to mush. Absolutely. Go in here and it says bills. You click on it and it's just this page after page after page of bills. If you go into that Florida, they have bills in there, and I really like these. These are nice. They're in memorial to. And it's memorial to some person, and we're doing it now because of the way the system's set up. It has to go through there. But really, how does that impact you? I mean, we feel, thank you for whatever you did, but really, is it impacting you or your family? No. So that's filtered out. We take those out. We want to go into things that get into it deeper. So when you click on this state, on the left side here, and then again, on the right, or left is federal, right is state, it's going to open up and start giving you a list of the bills. So you just see just by topic. So you just peruse through it. Now this is great because you ladies, gentlemen, I mean, all it takes is one of you to go, did you see this bill? No. Wait a second. Because there's so much of this going through there that you don't even know about it. Because why? Doesn't matter who you watch on TV, the news media, here's a shocker for you, is biased. Okay? They have their own agenda, right? And they're going to promote things that give them good airtime. Why? So they can sell advertising. So now, nowhere in our Constitution does it say the media works for us. No, we just have the freedom of the press. And they put the stuff out. So it's your job now to find out what's going on out there. So when you do this, there's the state side. So we picked Florida since we're here. Now, Florida is out of session. Florida is out of session in March. End of March. I got too many states. So you would pick a topic, and this one was on atomic energy. I wanted to pick something big. So this is what's going to happen. When you click on it, it's going to open up. It's going to give you a brief summary of that bill. And you're going to go, cool, or I don't care. But if you said, cool, we want more information, you're going to click on see the bill right here. And it's going to show you the bill. And it will track that bill completely going through from when it was introduced all the way, if it died committee, is it in the committee? Who is on the committee that's working on this bill? This is the information you need to know about. Because why? If you don't know what the heck they're doing up there, then we're all just, kind of, going to get mad. We're going to yell at the TV. I call it nothing more than anchor-tainment. Right? How often do you get done watching the news and go, man, that's a good one? You want to go yell at somebody. You go across the street to your neighbor and go, I can't believe you guys do this. This is why. Now, this is what changes everything. This right here. You're able to write your representative right there, right now, before they vote. Not only now, this is a federal bill. So it's going to go to the president. Woohoo, good job. Woo, we should pass it. The president's not going to read it. It's going to go to the Senate, and it's going to go to the House. So let's clarify this. Typically, those members aren't going to read it either. The aides read it. Okay, so we know this. Now, if you didn't realize this, Somebody sponsored this bill. Somebody sat down somewhere and said, I think this is a good idea. Okay, if we agree or don't agree, doesn't matter. Somebody created it, and immediately when it's introduced, it makes a sharp turn somewhere, and it's going to go to committee, right? Now, unless your representative is on that committee, they don't know nothing about this bill. Following me so far?
Yes.
So when you write them and you say, hey, in regards to this bill, this is what I think, they're going to go, uh-huh, and that aide is going to take it and put it into the box of for or against on that bill. Because they're not on the committee, they don't know. So we added to this the people who sponsored the bill and the co-sponsors. Because those are the ones that are on the committee. And how easy is it to go find those people? Right? So now when you do this now, look, again, let's have a reality check. If they are not one of your constituents, or they're not in your district, they don't have to respond to you. And mostly they're not, okay? I call it throwing rocks over fences. It's the best way. I grew up, my dad had no filter, okay? The sewer filter is really good. So literally what you're doing is when you're writing them, they're getting the email, they just don't have to respond to you, but what they're doing is they're going, Now, throwing rocks over fences, if it's a bad bill and you think it's terrible and we shouldn't do this, those co-sponsors, especially the ones that are jumping on that bandwagon, are getting rocks thrown at them. Now they're starting to think, maybe this isn't such a good idea. Because their ultimate goal is to what? Thank you. This transcends any political party. If it's a bad idea, it's a bad idea. If it's a good idea, tell them. You don't. It's not a bitch fest. Okay. It's a platform for you to say, I think this is a great idea, or this is a good idea. Have you thought about this? An idea coming from the people. Wow, what a great idea. So then they start looking at it and going, maybe on the committee, I got a letter here that says maybe we ought to add this, take this, change that. How engaged is that? How long did it take? It takes me longer to explain this than you actually do it. That's the biggest thing right there. This changes everything. Because right now, how many know all the bills that are going through Congress? Really? Come on, ladies, you should know that. You're part of the Democrat Party.
I know.
We don't know. In today's political environment, it's more important now than ever to make your voice heard. Let Congress know enables you to be able to see the bills that impact you, your family, your business, and write your representative right there, right now, when it matters most, before they vote. That's what we do. So, again, remember, we are not funded by anybody but members. So there's the membership. Oh, here it comes. So what we do on this is, for groups like this, it's $200 a year. A year. Okay, you and your husband, significant other, spouse, whatever, can't go out for lunch 2 times this month and not pay $200. So this is absolutely something that is needed. And the reason why there's a cost involved into it is, honestly, that information is not cheap to get. I don't have a bunch of minions in there sitting there, this is all done through filters and everything else, but it's there for you. So all you gotta do is, when you go to the checkout, you're gonna fill out your information. The biggest thing I want you to do is up here, it's click here to enter a code. The code for this, clubs, as in plural, 24. So typically it's $250 a year. You do that, it's $200.
You say 200 or 250?
If you just go in there and say, hey, I want to do this, it's $250. But because we're in this group,
200.
200. Club's 24. That is the password.
Will that give everyone in the club access or just one person?
That'll do, well, it'll, say that again.
Like, will the president have access and then send
No,
out?
that's each individual.
But each individual,
So you would sign up, sign up
Yeah, but we would each sign up separately or
Separately.
under the umbrella
Separately.
of the 200?
separately.
Yeah.
Each of you is doing something. Each person, it's an individual membership. But because it's in the club, it's $200 each. Because if it was an umbrella, then it would be under one, and you go, well, I think this, and I think that. Well, it needs to come from you.
However, I do have a curiosity question.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm new here, okay?
Mhm.
Individual voice compare group voice.
Good
Which
question.
one is better?
Good question.
So rather for me, I'm nobody for them, whatever it is. You make one big voice, we contribute money to a big lump sum mess, then everybody go, then you make voice.
So think about this. Right now, politicians are swayed by what?
Money.
Ah, thank you very much. Okay. Who throws most money at it?
Trump. No.
I was not expecting that answer. So let's take it. It's funny. So you have your lobbying organizations. There are over 12,900 registered lobbying organizations, active lobbying organizations around the United States. So if I'm going with a lobbying organization, hey, I got some money, let's do this.
Yeah.
Okay, but you can do one thing that the lobbying organizations cannot. Who knows the answer?
Vote. Election.
Huh?
Vote.
Vote. Vote. So yes, what this does is become, in military terms, this is called a force multiplier. Okay? A force multiplier is being able to take that one thing and multiply that. So your voice now, they understand something, that all of them do this. They understand that just because it's you, they're going to pick on you since you raised your hand. Okay? You now multiply that by 10, 20, hundreds of other people who think and vote the same way. You become a force multiplier.
Excuse me. I'm sorry, I have a lot of questions. I need to ask now because I will forget. What am I multiplied from? Whatever.
Your voice, so they understand that your voice is, there's other people who think and vote the same way you do.
How do you know they know who?
They don't. They don't. Well, they probably do.
No.
But they know there's certain people that go, okay, wait, if I got one email, unless it's if it's a wackadoodle, whoa, I think we should paint all the grass blue. They go, no, this isn't cool. That's getting thrown out. But if they say, you know something, Florida passed a law about driving in the left lane. Did y'all know this? Yes. Yeah, don't hang out in the left lane. You'll get pulled over and they give you $200 ticket.
Good.
Thank you. I hate that. It's my wife who just keeps I'm like, get out of the left lane. If I want to drive fast and get a ticket, it's my choice.
Well, that's different.
But see, we were all taught the same thing in driver's ed. You get in the left lane, you pass somebody, you get over. It's sad that we got to do this, but that's the truth. But if you said, no, I don't think so. Yeah, when you get the big trucks over there, let's not go.
Don't go against truck drivers. I was a truck driver for 30 years.
So the option here is you
You
either
want your goods to get to you, though, don't you?
So your option is to keep doing the same thing. So do we understand the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
That's Trump.
So if we keep doing the same thing over and over again, we keep not telling our representatives, we're going to keep getting the same results. Yes, ma'am.
Do you give our names to other organizations?
Nope.
Because,
No.
you know,
Nope. Nope. We don't share information at all. Actually, the only thing that we can see on this is that you said something.
okay.
That's it. And we can't see what you said or anything. You just go click, fill it out, send. And it, because of the back end of how the technology works, it just goes. The one thing you can't do, if you want to do this on your own, and you can, right? You can go to your representative's website, scroll down to the bottom, they're all set up the same, fill the information in, then go to the other one, and then go to the other one. But wait a minute, who's the co-sponsor? I don't know. Now I got to go digging for that. You know, why do we eat at McDonald's? Is it the healthiest thing in the world? No. It's convenient. That's why.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm over here.
Okay.
I wonder if you can bring up another state,
Yes.
because I would be interested in, where my pension is from and all that stuff. And so if there was anything coming up that involved,
So right now we have data on probably 20 states or so, mostly on the eastern seaboard.
yeah, okay.
Working
okay.
up into that.
I
As
see.
we expand and more, we'll start pushing.
So there's a way on that
Yeah, so
website
when
to
you go
change the
back,
state?
I'll
Good.
show you.
Okay, good, good.
I just want to get to.
Got it.
So literally it says right here, Florida.
Yeah.
Head out of the way. So if I went up into Georgia,
Oh, I see.
I just click on Georgia.
Oh, okay, great.
And it just changes out Florida, it puts it in there.
Okay, good.
So it just depends on when the state's involved. So states are weird. So the state
Yeah.
of Texas is in session once every 2 years.
Okay.
Maryland or some, I can't remember which one, it's a northeastern state. They're in session like 8 out of 10 out of 12 months. I don't know. Each state has the right to do it their own way. The biggest thing is sometimes you'll sit there and go, nothing's moving. Really, when politicians don't do anything, that's a good thing, right? It's just like, stop, because they're either creating a bill or they're doing something else. Any other questions? Yes, sir?
Just to clarify on the code, is it CLUBS?
Yes.
2024?
Clubs?
24.
Okay.
24.
Plural, thank you.
Plural, yes. Clubs, 24. So if you have one of these, if you flip it over, there should be a QR code on the back. If it doesn't, please raise your hand. I see yours doesn't have one.
I don't have one.
Okay, my apologies. So if you don't know, and this wasn't until recently I figured this out, if you don't know how to use a QR code, let us know.
I don't know how to use QR code.
Okay, perfect.
Sandra,
So, Sandra? So simply you use your app, your phone, right? And you take the picture, hover it over it, and it'll come up below it. We can help you with it. So it'll take you right to the site. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, why don't you individualize this? Why does it have to be an organization?
I can do it individually, but it's
Then what's
more
the
money.
cost for an individual? $200?
250. That's why. It's just because I do a group, it's easier to do this than to go literally.
But the question is, why wouldn't you set this up so it could be an individual at a more reasonable price?
Do for free,
That's the work involved. Literally. That's what it is. It's just more work to sit there and this is individually. To sit down and talk to you, it's like, okay, it just takes more work. I'd rather do a room like this and, have half of you sign on.
What he meant is, why can't you do it for free? And just have a big class, whatever it is, everybody doing this thing. But what do you think is because individual, you need bigger money. So I have to pay you $250, so the money goes to your pocket.
Somebody's got to make money. It's a free enterprise.
Yeah, so this, you're making money.
Of course I am.
I thought you're a nonprofit.
What in this world is free? Go to Walmart and say,
No,
hey, I was a free
I
place.
thought you're a nonprofit.
No,
So what's the name of your company, huh?
Congressman.
No.
yeah, we really enjoyed this.
Yep.
We're kind of running into your lunchtime, we still have different meetings, so I didn't want to cut you off.
That's fine. That's the QR code. If you have questions, I'll be more than happy to afterward if you're all done. Okay?
Yes.
One is
What's the job?
regarding our bylaws
Oh.
and our budget.
We talk,
Our
okay?
bylaws
Okay, come on. I
require
need
that
that food,
if,
okay?
the board of directors has an expenditure over $100 that we need membership approval. And so we're asking you to consider today allowing the board to discuss the possibility of bringing in a higher priced speaker. This is just all in the planning stage, but we can't go forward if we don't know if for this particular instance, we have your approval. The person that we're considering bringing is named Elizabeth Ritchie. She is a immigration specialist. She's been on TV a number of times. She comes from Tallahassee, and so the reason she's more expensive is we would have to pay mileage and possibly hotel. And as I said, this is not a definite thing. We're not sure when it would occur. We just want to know that if, for this particular instance, in our planning, if the membership feels that we could spend more than $100 to help bring in this speaker. So if you have discussion or ideas, we appreciate knowing what you think. The membership fees are our money.
Do you need a motion?
Yes.
Okay, I move that we authorize the executive committee to go ahead and at least investigate that for over $100.
Second. Those in favor? Thank you. We will definitely keep you posted on this event. We're not sure when it would take place exactly. It's possible it would occur on a day that is not our regular meeting day, but we will let you know as soon as possible on that. Thank you.
Mary, you want to announce the June event?
Yes, and we have a couple of things we want to mention. We have a fundraiser coming up on June 11th. And Melinda Billig has agreed to have a jewelry making workshop for us.
I can pass these around if anybody wants to just take a look to see what kind of stuff. It's just, let me just say, it's so easy. When my granddaughter was 2 years old, she made them and they came out beautiful. It's relatively inexpensive things to do. You can do it with anybody of any age and any talent or lack thereof ability, or lack thereof. And it's a lot of fun. So, and it looks like expensive dichroic glass, and it's really cheapo nail polish. So, sparkly nail polish and flat nail polish on a veil. But it comes out, and I work in glass, and dichroic glass is very expensive. But they really come out beautiful. So I'm going to pass this around. It's at 4 o'clock on the 11th, and it is a fundraiser. It will be limited, so as soon as Sue sends out the announcement, if you want to get in, send it back that you want to get in because it'll probably sell out. It'll sell out pretty fast. I don't know where yet. To be announced. Do you know where?
I think we have a site, but we're going to be sending out the information. And Melinda, they'll be making 2 pairs of earrings, and
they'll make at least 2. At least two sets of earrings and 2 necklaces, and more if they want to make the small ones. They can. The small ones are expensive. I can just toss them on the table.
There'll be more details, so do watch your emails. We're also going to have it be salad, like salad supper. So watch your emails for that.
I do need those samples back because I'm doing another work.
I'm just trying to look at myself clearly.
We want to mention that the next meeting, our club meeting is June 15th, and we're going to have a consultant, Sue Halloran, who's going to be talking about DEI and how it has been implemented here in Florida. So please watch your email for announcements on all of those things.
I just wanted to say, there's a thing called Save the Date, and it's the annual Sumter County Public Schools Supply.
Ladies, please.
It's going to be Tuesday, July 16th at Lake Neona Recreation Center, or Wednesday, July 17th at Eisenhower Recreation Center, Thursday, July 18th, Everglades Recreation Center. And all the supplies go to all the different public schools that are here in Sumter County: Webster, Bushnell, Lake Panasoffkee, Wildwood, Lake Sumter Middle School, Wildwood Intermediate, South Sumter High School, and Wildwood Middle High School, and Sumter Prep Academy. And the person that does this, she's come to our meeting to talk to us, Sally Moss. from the Sumter County School Board. So you go to the recreation center, you just drop off your supplies at this. They'll probably put out a paper to tell you, remind you, when it's gonna be.
So it's a donation of school supplies.
They do this every year, so this is the 5th year that they've done this.
Yeah, lunch is going to be held at Mezzaluna at the Colonnade Plaza. We have about 15, I think, signed up. So if you can't make it today, we hope you'll join us. We go to lunch every month. And I think the final thing is our 50-50 drawing. We're going to share the money with 2 people. And so we'll ask Chris to draw 1 ticket. Yay, Chris.
No pressure.
162185.
I didn't get it out yet.
162185. I think that's you. Good. And we have, we don't do just like 50-50, it depends on the intake, and we try to spread the wealth out. So we have a second drawing, and we'll ask Matt to draw that one.
162194.